Hello everybody, welcome to this session where John Kimani and the Equity Bank team will take us through the process of how to invest with the government securities, that is treasury bills and treasury bonds, and also how to open an account with the Equity Bank in Kenya.
Thanks a lot, Noah. Welcome all, welcome everybody. We'll have later an introduction of the entire Equity team because I see we have a good team from Equity. So Ian, please take over and take us through.
Okay. Thank you very much. As alluded, my name is Ian Wachie. I work in Equity Investment Bank, which is a subsidiary for Equity Group Holdings, or what everyone else knows as Equity Bank. Our key mandate, our key offering is investment alternatives for our clients, be it now onboarded or clients who are banked outside the Equity Bank. But now we are trying as much as possible to provide investment alternatives. I'll let my other colleagues in diaspora banking also introduce themselves.
Hello everyone, my name is Joki Gikanga. I work in the business development department. My key investment when it comes to investment in the bank is making sure that my clients are able to open accounts. And yes, so any questions that you have when it comes to account opening, be here to support you. I can introduce my other team members. Julie.
Thank you, Joki. My name is Julianne Onsando, also in the business development team, supporting in relationship management. Once you came in, I'm able to link you to the rest of the solutions within the bank. Thank you very much, and we are glad to have you.
I'm assuming that's all of us who are part of the Equity Group team. So I do believe that you can actually see my screen. I'll take you through. So with the investment alternatives available to our clients, we noticed there's a big gap in terms of knowledge, and especially the knowledge or the information which a lot of clients want clarity on is when it comes to government securities. So I do hope and believe you can actually see my screen. Let me make it full screen. So I believe you can actually see my screen. So essentially, when you talk about government securities, so government securities they are debt obligations, or rather now it's when the government through the Central Bank of Kenya approaches the public for borrowing. And now that debt obligation usually provides an annual interest. Now, when it comes to the debt obligation of government securities, they are split into two. So we have treasury bills and we have treasury bonds. For treasury bills, they are short-term. Short-term meaning the maximum period on a treasury bill is 1 year. And they're split in 3 different periods or tenures. So you have a 3-month treasury bill, which is what is referred to as a 91-day bill. You have a 6-month treasury bill, which is a 182-day bill. And then you have a 1-year treasury bill, which is 364-day bill. And each tenure provides a different interest rate from the other. Now, if you look at the screen now, because treasury bills are usually offered as an auction, so investors come and bid. And now when you see on the screen now, for example, here, you'll find now that these are the different interest rates which are offered for, sorry about that. These are the different interest rates offered for the different periods. So you find a 3-month treasury bill, a 6-month treasury bill, and a 1-year treasury bill. So a 3-month treasury bill going at 9.1% per annum, a 6-month treasury bill going for 9.7% per annum, and a 1-year bill going for 10.186% per annum. These offers are usually done on a weekly basis. So each week, an investor can come and place a bid. So because remember when I said it's in an auction, so it's an auction, investors come and bid, and now once CBK confirms your bid, they'll tell you to send a discounted amount. So how investments work for treasury bills is you invest at a discount, then upon maturity of that period, you're paid back in full. So they're purely short term. They provide annual interest rates. And also now the investment is at a discount and then you're paid back in full upon maturity. That's treasury bills. Now there is a difference between now treasury bills and treasury bonds. So when it comes to treasury bonds are mid-term to long-term debt obligations. So we're talking about anywhere from a 2-year bond all the way to a 25 or even a 30-year bond. So you find bonds usually have a tenure above 1 year. And for bonds, they usually provide an annual interest rate also. And that annual interest rate is paid out to the investor semi-annually. So that means if you are entitled to earn a return for 1 year, that amount is split into 2, then you're paid back to your bank account after every 6 months until that bond investment matures. So one, you can decide to do, let's say, for example, you invest in a bond for 14 years. So you can get those returns for the next 14 years until it matures, or now you can enjoy those returns until you decide to sell the bond. That's how investors can exit the bond investment, through sale of a bond. And that's the purpose with which we are here. So you can issue the bond sale instructions to us so that you can exit the investment before maturity. So for you as an investor, you're not obligated to stay in the investment until maturity. You can enter and exit at any point in time. Though for us, we encourage investors to look at a bond the same way they would look at a long tenured investment. Because one, we are referring to an investment which is giving you cyclic or lack of a better word, scheduled semi-annual returns until the bond matures. So we are talking about an investment giving you a predetermined form of liquidity. Now, for you as an investor, you can exit the investment before maturity. But when you're exiting the investment before maturity, we will sell the bond to another investor at the prevailing market price. So we understand bonds have prices, and how the bond price is determined by market forces of demand and supply. And I do believe in the current global economic situation we are in, we can fully understand and appreciate factors of demand and supply and how they affect prices of goods. We can see now how oil globally, demand for oil is definitely driving price. And then now how government interventions in terms of raising rates is trying to lower or make the cost of borrowing expensive. Then that also they're trying to tamper down on demand that is in the economy. So now if they try and tamper down on demand, now that also reduces the demand for goods and reduces price. But you see how demand drives price of all commodities, and bonds are no exception. They are also affected by demand and supply. So the higher the demand, the higher the price. But please, something to note clearly, interest rate and price are two separate things. The interest rate is the predetermined return you'll enjoy on that investment. The price will determine the cost of buying that investment. So, for example, if you're investing $1 million, you need to understand how many bond units are in $1 million, because bonds are usually sold in units. So, and 1 unit is made up of 100 shillings. So if you're investing $1 million and 1 unit is made up of 100 shillings, so you'll have to know how many bond units are in $1 million. So you'll do 1 million divided by 100, and that gives you 10,000 bond units. Now, when you go to the market, you'll find a bond unit has its own price because it's being driven by demand. And now that price is what you multiply by the number of units you want to buy, and that determines now the cost of the bond. And the same concept will apply when you decide to sell the bond before maturity. I can go to the next slide, which has now an example. So even when you see on the screen, let's say, for example, if you want to buy a treasury bond, let's say with a face value of 500,000, and now bonds usually are giving, for example, it's giving a return on interest rate, which now in investment terms, interest is usually called coupon. So if you hear someone say coupon rate, that's what they call an interest rate. So interest amount will be called a coupon amount. So for example, if you're coming to buy a bond with a value of 500,000, and the bond is giving you a fixed coupon or fixed return of 12.965%, and it pays twice a year, as I refer to semi-annually. So that now, for example, that bond will pay every February and August. So for you, the return you expect to get will be the interest rate or the coupon rate times the face value. So that will be that figure, and then every 6 months, that's how much you'll be getting. Now, if you want to know how much it will cost you, first of all, you said we need to understand the number of units. Since you said 1 unit is made up of 100 shillings, if you want to buy a bond with a value of 500,000, it will be 500,000 divided by 100, which gives you 5,000 bond units. And if the price per unit in the market is at 103, so the 5,000 units you want to buy at a price of 103 will give you now a total of 515,000. That now is the cost of the bond, okay? Because the cost of the bond is determined by the market price. And the same concept now will apply. Essentially, if you've invested in that bond for a few years and now you come to us and you say, I want to sell the bond, now we'll still go to the market and we'll confirm for you that this is the market price. And if we are to sell that bond today, this is how much you'll be getting in return. Now, essentially, that's how treasury bonds work. Now, in Kenya, there are 2 types of bonds. There is the treasury bond and there is the infrastructure bond. The only distinction between the two, as far as I've explained everything else, is a treasury bond, the annual interest earned is subject to withholding tax. Whereas an infrastructure bond, the interest earned is tax-free. So once again, a treasury bond, the interest earned is subject to withholding tax, whereas an infrastructure bond, the interest earned is tax-free. If you are to invest in treasury bonds or treasury bills, first and foremost, you'd require to have a CBK CDS account. And for us, we try as much as possible to facilitate that, because especially for our diaspora customers, opening a CBK CDS account is something akin to a Herculean task. So that's where we came into place, where now we can actually facilitate the CBK CDS account opening process through equity investment banking. So instead of you doing the entire legwork, you can send the documentation through us and you can facilitate opening that account. And these are the requirements needed: the agreement form, an indemnity form, because we'll be doing a lot of email and phone communication, your Kenyan ID and a KRA PIN, a passport photo. And now for investors who do not hold a bank account with us, would require you to provide a 3-month certified bank statement, so that now we comply with the AML, anti-money laundering regulations, which require for us to understand client source of funds, and if we have done our due diligence in understanding our customers. Now, once we receive all the documents and we submit them to CBK, the account opening process takes 4 working days, and we should have the account ready. Then from that point onwards, you'll be issuing us instructions. So for us, we usually share in terms of the bond offering available for investors. And now you can now give us those instructions. You tell us how much you want to invest, and we'll send you a document which has the entire breakdown of the bond you're investing. And if you want to do so, you can sign on the document and scan it back to show that you've given authorization for us to execute the bond investment. So in essence, that is treasury bills, treasury bonds, and the investment process. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Ian, for that wonderful presentation. I think we can open the floor for questions. I know people have several questions. Please feel free to pose your questions to Ian and the team. In the meantime, maybe as people try to structure the questions, maybe I can invite Njoki to take us through briefly about the account opening process for those who have accounts already, or those who have dormant accounts, or those who want to open accounts. Njoki, if you can hear me, please take us through about the diaspora accounts opening.
Hello, Johnny. Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, we do offer account opening for Equity Bank holders who are in Kenya, who are Kenyans, residing around the world. But one of the essential things that we normally need is, as Ian said, an Kenyan issued ID. If it's a passport, it needs to be valid, and KRA PIN number, and also maybe a passport size picture. And then the rest, what we require from you is just some forms that you need to fill out. Now, in those forms that you need to fill out, we do ask quite a bit of information from you. We need to know where you work. We need to know your employer's details. We need to know what can I say? You know, your essential details where you reside here in Kenya as well, so that at least you get a bit of knowledge on who you are. Now, once you fill in the forms, what we normally do is we ask you to send them to us on email, but there is an email indemnity form that we need you to send to us to our bank's physical address here in Kenya. So that will mean that you have to go to a postal office somewhere, pay some money, and send that form to us. We usually recommend you to use either DHL or FedEx, because of course those ones give you tracking numbers so that you're able to track your documents when they come to Kenya. So once we receive that, and all your forms are in order, we will call you on the phone number that you have provided on your forms. So never worry, because that number is something that we can be able to reach you on as Equity Bank, because we have the ability to do that from Kenya. So once we reach out to you and we're able to have a conversation about your forms, and just have a conversation with you about what it is that you entail to do here in Kenya, and how we can support you even better, then now the account is opened. Once the account is opened, we'll send you all those details on email. And also on top of that, you'll get an automated message from the bank with the details of your account. Now, one of the things that we also offer is the ability to access your account via your email, via your phone, and via our online banking platform. So one of the things that we're able to do is we're able to provide you access to your account through your phone and through your internet banking. And it's a very simple and accessible process, which we avail to you as our equity account holder. And anytime you need any support, please note that we have a 24-hour contact center, meaning that we have people on the ground 24 hours willing to support you. If you have any questions, there's a phone number that we can provide to you, an email address that we can even provide to you if you need any support. So never feel like you're all the way in France and not able to access your account or get somebody who can support you where you are, because we have that ability here in Equity. All right. And unless anybody has any questions, let me know.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to read some questions coming in here from people on the chat. and then you respond them progressively. There's Magdalene. She's saying, I have an EasyNet online account of which I can only transfer Kenya shillings. Do I need to open another account if I need an account that holds US dollars or euros? Please share EasyNet banking app here, please. That's from Magdalene. You can respond to that. She has a EasyNet online account that deals with Kenya shillings.
Okay, so she wants to transfer, Magdalene, does she want to transfer euros into the account, or does she want to transfer the funds that she has currently in the Kenya shilling account?
Yeah, if Magdalene, if you can just pose the question directly, please feel free. This is the purpose of the session.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, please.
Hi, Magdalene.
Hi, Njoki.
Yes.
My question is, I already have an EasyNet online account which holds Kenyan shillings, and my question was, can this current account offer an option where I can deposit US dollars? Like I have Kenyan shillings in the same account and I have US dollars in the same account, or I need to open another account that holds a different currency?
Okay, the beauty about Equity Bank is that we are able to do foreign exchange. So
Okay.
if you have US dollars or you have euros in an account, a foreign account, and you want to transfer them to your equity account, we can do that for you. So what we normally do is that we have a treasury team in the bank.
Okay.
And yeah, so if you want to exchange your dollars or your euros and you want them to come to sit in your Kenya shilling account, we can do that for you. You don't necessarily have to open a euro or a USD account.
So what I understand is that I can open a euro account with Equity today. It means if I open an Equity account in euros, how much would that cost? Like, does it cost some charges that would make me believe that, wow, I better send my money direct to Kenya shillings account compared to sending it to euros or dollars?
Okay, our fees are standard. We don't have percentage based on how much it is that you're transferring. So if you're doing a Swift transaction, that will cost you like 720 Kenya shillings. Irrespective of the amount that you're sending. 720 Kenya shillings, irrespective of how much that you're sending. Now, the only thing that we do in Equity Bank is that anything that you're sending that amounts to almost 1 million Kenya shillings equivalent or more, we will now come and ask you for supporting documents. So if you purchasing a property or there's something that you're financing, we will ask you for an invoice, sale agreement, an offer letter, or whatever it is that you're purchasing, because anything that amounts for anything that is 1 million or more, we just really ask you for just anything to support the transaction. But in Equity Bank, anything that you are transacting via Swift is standard. We don't do a percentage. It's a standard fee of 720 Kenya shillings.
Thank you very much, Dorothy, for that those questions. We have more questions. There's a question from Joseph. He wanted to know the risks associated with the bonds and also if it's possible to open an account for at least 7 people.
Okay, so that's a very, very good question, and that will be in reference now to price. So when you talk about risks, so the main risk involved with bonds investment is price. So price in the sense that if you come to the market today and you buy a bond, let's say the market price is at 103, and you hold on to it for a while, and then you want to sell the same bond. If the market price, excuse me, if the market price at that time goes down to 100, then that means with the whole computation which you're doing is your return, the amount of return you get back will obviously have lowered a bit. So in terms of risk, that's the main risk involved. If we are considering opening an account for a group, now you can have If it's just a joint group, a joint informal group, the maximum number of signatories you can have is 4. Who can actually sign on behalf of the others. Alternatively, you can also opt to have, if it's a formal group, the better, because we'll have clear-cut signatories and we'll have the requirements which will be dependent on the whole composition of your group. So it's actually possible. If it's an informal one, you'll choose representatives or to be the specific signatories who will come approach us, say we'll do an account for Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Yeah, and then now, but on the back end, you have a whole host of members whom you'll be representing. If it's a formal group, obviously it will have its name, and then it will have specific directors or signatories. So those are the two alternatives in terms of a group investment.
There's another question from Sarah. I believe Sarah is in Germany. Her question is, what do people who are Kenyan born but have acquired foreign citizenship require to open an account? In this case, I guess maybe maybe Sarah doesn't have the Kenyan ID or passport. I think that it could be the case in Germany. If you acquire the German citizenship, you have to denounce the Kenyan citizenship. In this case, what do these kind of people require to open an account?
Okay, Sarah, yeah, we can support you as Equity Bank, but unfortunately, Sarah, my dear, you will need to have a work permit, a foreign ID, alien ID, or which we are calling a foreign certificate within Kenya, so that you can open an account. And that will entail you to unfortunately come and to visit our offices, Huduma offices, and then be able to acquire those documentations to be able to open an account. Now, one of the things with Equity is we don't shy away from anyone who has declared themselves as a citizen of another country. But now what we do is, once you get that documentation, please visit any of our local branches and we'll be able to support you. We may not do so at Diaspora Banking if you don't have any Kenyan documentation. But if you have the foreign certificate or a work permit and a KRA, we can be able to open an account for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jockey. We have another question from Nancy. She's asking, when the bank buys the bonds on behalf of the customer, is it at a fee or is part of the, is it at a fee or is it part of the bank's responsibility or something?
Good question. Good question. So for us, what's free is us facilitating opening a CBK CDS account for our clients. If you're looking to invest in the bonds, we usually have a commission charge when you're buying the bond of 0.035% of the cost of the bond. 0.035% of the cost of the bond is the commission charge. So we can say, even let's say, even if you're investing 5 million, or you'll see on average your cost, if the 0.035% will add up to something like 17 or 1800 shillings. So that's how much you charge in terms of our commission. In terms of treasury bills investment, our commission charge is 0.3% of the face value of your investment, or 5,000, whichever is higher. If you're investing amounts below 500,000, we charge a flat fee of 2,000 shillings.
Okay, Equity, my question is, I have a company in France, for instance, and I want to extend my company to Kenya, but I'm a Kenyan here. It means I'm not French at all. I'm still considered as a foreigner here, but I have a company here. What would be asked of me if I want to maybe have what a succursale? Succursale is like an extension back home, and I have to use my company income to search for a loan to start something in Kenya?
Okay, yeah, so I'm telling Dorothy that we are able to finance her as Dorothy since her company in Kenya is not yet doing business in Kenya. So we can only finance her as Dorothy for now, but maybe later on after she's established the business here in Kenya, we can see the account turnovers, we can see how the business is faring on. We're able to finance her as a business.
We are around 7 people. We have an association over here.
Mhm.
So our idea is to open an association or a company in Kenya.
Mhm.
So we want to take bonds as a company or an association in Kenya. The point is, what we just need to be clear about it is just to know the requirements.
Okay, so I believe the first order of business for you, Bob, would be to register the chama in Kenya, because first and foremost you're trying to onboard all bodies, be it individual or registered bodies here in Kenya. So that will be your first order of business. One, after you have already registered that association in Kenya, with that registration, you'll have specific directors or signatories in that association. Even if it's a group of 7, not all 7 will be signing on it. So now, depending on now the structure of your association, now you'll have the directors or the assigned signatories of that association. Those are the ones who will provide us their documentation, and then the documentation of the association by itself, certificate of registration, its own KRA pin of the directors, identification documents of the directors, and then now a resolution to open a CBK CDS account for those specific transactions. So first order of business, register the association in Kenya. Then 2, now those registration documentation plus the identification documents of the directors will be the ones which will be required. And then now a resolution document.
Okay,
Yes.
just the last question, because let's say maybe I'm a Kenyan and I don't live in Kenya, but I work in a foreign country.
Exactly.
Of course, like maybe my pay slips are from here, and maybe I wanted to take a loan.
Okay, yeah, Bob, we finance our customers, Kenyans living abroad. So all we want to know is your source of income. Are you employed or are you in business? So if you're employed, we'll ask for the last 3 pay slips, bank statement for 6 months, that's the checking account. And also if you have an active savings account, we also ask for 6 months statement. We also want to understand you need to have filed your taxes at least for the last 3 years. And also we ask for your credit report from the country of residence. We also look at your Kenyan ID copy, KRA PIN, your passport, and also approve of your physical address abroad. So in that case, we can finance you to buy property in Kenya, either to buy land or a house, or even do some construction. We also finance, how we work together with Ian is that we finance anyone who has invested in bonds or rather in government securities. We're able to finance up to 75% of the amount held with the government for up to 5 years. So it means your bond is your security. So we won't ask for any other security like the land and all that. So yeah, we work together with Ian also to finance you, maybe to add more government securities or even to do any other project that you could be having in Kenya.
Rosalind, you had asked for a chance, so you can go ahead and you had asked for a chance if something is remaining you wanted to share. Please go ahead on that.
Yes, so thank you for the Jockey and Dorothy for the question. As currently we need a credit reference bureau to finance a diaspora customer. And also on the issue of the government pay or for non-employment, we also don't consider it as a source of income to pay a loan in Kenya, because what we know is that the government probably has given you the minimum you need to survive, if I can use that word, over there. So in that case, we don't see a scenario where you'd have a disposable income abroad to service our loan. So we don't use government pay for unemployment as a source of repayment. We need an income from an employer. That's why we ask for pay slips.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Still on that, Jockey, as we wind up, I want you
Right.
to talk briefly about the students' accounts and then about the loans. But if you happen to give a person a loan, what are the rates? And also mortgage, and also the, for example, somebody has a stalled construction and wants some financing to complete it. Please talk about those.
Okay, yeah, so we finance for stalled or rather ongoing constructions. We actually finance up to 70% of the total BQ. BQ is the document prepared by a quantity surveyor showing the total cost of a building. We also do finance compliant projects. I need to make that clear. By compliant, I mean you have gotten all the approvals from the county. Okay, you've gotten an architect to draw for you. They've gone through the approval process. You have NEMA, you have NCA certificate. I'm sure we know the entire package that is needed to comply with the county. For mortgages, we do up to 80% financing for up to 10 years. For plot purchase, we do up to 70% financing for 5 years. Our interest rates are currently Kenya shilling loan is 13%. For foreign currency denominated loan, we are talking about 10%. Pretty much, I think that's what you've asked about.
Okay, a quick question came. Maybe I need to know. Okay, I've seen that the requirement you have to have the requirement. It just if I want to buy the bolts, I have to give my 3 months bank account. Is it a must? Is it a must to be Kenyan bank statement? I can use mine from France.
Yeah, let me address that. So one the reason why we'd ask for your 3-month certified bank statement is purely because of the tracing of funds. So now if you have funds which are sitting right now in your account in France, now would also now even your bank when you're remitting to your bank, let's say the KCB bank, though if it's been dormant all this while, I would definitely advise you to open an equity bank, since all participants are here to try and fast track the process. One, when you're remitting the funds, we will need to know the source. Even if you are to send to Kenya Commercial Bank, they would still have asked you for the source of funds so that they can have a trace on it, just so that now we are complying with the due diligence required in understanding our customers and the source of funds. So that's one. Two, the reason why we are insisting on Kenyan bank accounts, it's because the asset which you're buying is a Kenyan shilling denominated asset. So that means even the interest or the returns you're enjoying will be paid in Kenya shillings. So it would definitely make sense to hold a Kenya shilling bank account so as to avoid foreign currency fluctuations and anomalies. And also another thing just to note, when you're looking at money, every time there's a currency appreciation on your end, not on the Kenyan end, a currency appreciation on your end, that is a clear indication to start remitting more funds back home, because that means for every euro you hold, that means it's more Kenya shillings on this end. So right now, with the whole global inflationary situation and the pressure being put on developing countries' currencies, it makes sense to send more money back home now. And with the various platforms which actually make remitting money back home more fluid, and us as Equity Bank handling a lot of those platforms, it makes sense to remit more funds through the Equity Bank channels. I know I may be advocating for equity since we all work here, but just we're looking at the ease with which you can send money back home, especially for investing back home and for trying to build yourselves back home in the various avenues which you're trying to provide here. So I just needed to highlight that as you're trying to wind up on that. And I hope I answered your question in terms of the reason for the bank account or which specific bank account you hold and the purpose for the statement. So thank you very much. Back to you, John Kimani.
Thank you, Ian. Just a summary, I want to mention very, very important points why one should open an account with Equity. One is that you receive a monthly statement every end of the month, around 2nd or 3rd of the month. I'm a testimony to that. You receive an account statement of your accounts every month. You don't have to worry about how much money you have in the account. You receive an automated statement of your accounts every month. There's no monthly fee charged on your account. If you have 10,000 in your account, there's no monthly fee charged on that. The money stays in your account. There's no ledger fees charged also. If you want to have an ATM card, even if you're in diaspora, whichever country you are sent the card by the bank to your address, the one you indicated. So whether you're in South Africa, you're in France, you're in Germany, you're in the US, you get an ATM card Visa that you can use wherever you are. Another thing is you have an online platform to transact. You can send money to Kenya, buy property, send to M-Pesa from wherever you are through your online platform. So all these are conveniences that you get when you have an account with Equity. So whether you are new in Europe or in any country you have not formalized your papers or anything, you don't have a reason not to have an account with a Kenyan bank back home, and Equity is here for you. So just keep in touch with me. I can leave my number for those who want to follow up. My number is +33 754 712468. +33 754 712468. And you can contact me and I will link you with all the managers of the bank and we'll assist you to save and invest back home. So on behalf of all the participants who have followed the session, it has been a long one. We'll continue to organize these kind of sessions. They are very informative. I thank everybody who has taken part in this, and especially the Equity team. We had Joki Gekanga, we had Brian, we had Julie, we had Ian, and we had Rosalind with us. Thank you so much for your informative ideas and information about Equity Bank and answering to our questions. So thank you, asanteni sana, for everybody who joined this session. We'll make some effort to be doing this oftenly. It's very important and helpful for all of us.